Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Conversations with Seniors. And tonight we have three wonderful seniors who will be sharing with us how they got through the pandemic and some wisdom for the rest of us. So I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I'm going to now let you introduce yourselves, starting with Judy. Could you start by telling us a little bit about you? Your family, what you did, and then, or what you do on a regular basis, and so on and so forth.
Thank you. I'm Judy Nielsen. I live in High River. I've lived here well over 40 years, more like 50 years. I was a teacher for many, many years, and came out of Northern Alberta and settled in High River and stayed. Wasn't going to stay, but stayed for a long time, and it's home. So it's been great. Yeah, I have two daughters. The oldest one lives in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, and the youngest one is actually living here in High River. And over the last couple of years, we've faced some pretty big challenges in terms of my daughter and her health. She has brain cancer. So she was living with us for a couple of years, along with her little sweet little red-haired daughter, who's now 8 years old. So yeah, it's been really a busy life. The pandemic kind of took a back seat to more, bigger fish that we were frying, bigger issues in our lives. So, but she's doing well, and we're just really thankful for many things. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Judy. Thank you for coming to the show tonight. All right, over to you now.
My name is Norm Quantz. I live in Didsbury, north of Calgary, the other side of Calgary from High River. And I actually have lived here since I was in grade 3, except for when we were in their early marriage, when we were away for about 15 years, but moved back to town, and have recently, at 2013, moved off the acreage that we had into town. And right now we're living with our daughter and her husband, and have moved in 2.5 years ago in 2019 in the fall, when out of the wisdom of our two kids, Tam and Trace, they advised moving in with Tammy out of our condo situation, and wisely so, because within 4 months COVID hit, and they didn't want to see us there for sure. So we have been 2.5 years, and as of today, actually, Lorrie, who's my son-in-law's sister-in-law.
That's right.
You might not know this, but as of today, we did an interview for a seniors lodge to live there, just because of the mobility issues of my wife. And so we are in a transition right now. So anyhow, nice to meet you, Dee. Or sorry, Lee.
T.
No, T. Yeah, I was close. D to T.
LMNOP. T. There you go.
Thank you so very much, Norm. Appreciate your sharing. Over to you, Lorrie.
Well, I have two sons, and yes, we just celebrated my grandson's first birthday on Wednesday. And I am an author. I like writing. I am busy with my church. I'm busy doing lots of different things. I kind of dabble all over the place. And that's what, during the pandemic, I ended up doing a lot of projects. So I got involved in art and different, well, like I say, all sorts of things that just kept me busy, and more writing. And yeah, just kind of carried on my life. I don't know, I haven't done too much different except do some more walking. I've really started walking. And as Judy can attest, I do. I try and walk every day. So yeah. And I live in High River. I've been here for 30, I think it's going to be 34 years now. So Southern Alberta. But yeah, and I haven't been up north of Calgary. And with the price of gas, I haven't been driving a whole lot either lately. So I'm glad I've got my walking up. So yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you so much, Lorrie, for that introduction. I was going to start with Norm, and one of the things Norm wrote, obviously we published this magazine that Lorrie kindly helped us to put together. Norm, you talked about the resiliency of our ancestors. And I wanted you to dive into that a bit.
You about what all those are about, and so you learn resiliency, but are you specifically wanting T to talk about the resiliency that happens to us through the times of COVID? Is this what you want to specifically deal with?
No, I want to talk about life's resiliency. You have a lot of wisdom, and I wanted you to speak to that. What sort of resiliency do we need? What does resiliency of ancestors, what does that mean? And how do we tap into what that looks like in our daily lives?
Okay. So my career has been a counseling therapist, and with more emphasis recently on as a trauma specialist. And so I'll come from that perspective, if you don't mind. I don't know what other perspective I can come from. So
it's a good one. It's a good one.
So as I see it, and this is very candid off the shoulder here, resiliency has to do with your ability to face change and work through the change and come out on top. It's very hard to acknowledge that people coming out of being a teenager, they think that once they hit adulthood, that adults then remain the same for the rest of their life. And so they've got to make sure that they have all their experience and fun while they're a teenager and early 20s, because in their mind, oftentimes, life doesn't change after 25. What is very hard for them to realize then is when, you know, for example, you get a gal dreaming about marriage and all the May
Cinderella.
The Cinderella syndrome, the May promotions of gowns and wedding gowns, and finally you come to your wedding day and you found the right person and the way, and how you're going to live. And then the kids start coming along and they have a mind of their own. Well, what's that about? Like, I thought that they would just, when you told them what to do, they're going to do what they're told and everything will be fine. You realize then your spouse has got different ideas about what to do, and life starts changing very rapidly for people. And oftentimes that is a very traumatic time for a young adult to face the reality that life is going to change so often and so frequently, and with major changes that are unexpected. And so I look at trauma as being the difference between what you expect to happen and the unexpected that becomes negative. And that distance between those two is the degree of trauma you experience. Well, people are experiencing a lot of trauma, in what is considered, from us older folks looking back on it, that's normal. Get used to it. It's changing. And then I grew up with the fact that, well, yeah, lots of changes happened during my lifetime, but when I become a senior, all the seniors have worked all their little quirks out of their systems, and they're all so wonderful, and and pretty much all the same until I became a senior and joined the seniors group, and I realized, oh boy, was I ever fooled. I fooled myself. They all have their same quirkiness that they've had all through their life, and sometimes you push them to the place where those quirkinesses show up, and you have conflict, you have tension. Resilience has to do with recognizing that change is going to happen, and to understand how you actually then make those changes and do the transitions into the other things. And then as you look at those changes and how you face them, then you're able to settle down and recognize that you can embrace a change, because a change can either help you enhance your life or else you can let it defeat you. And so, you know, that the development of change in your life, if you don't have change, you stalemate and you go backwards, you never stay the same. So using your resilience in life, what you learn, use that to benefit you and make the differences. And for example, I'll just take the change that's right imminent with us right now. We're looking at a lodge, moving to a lodge, because my wife's physical health is not able to sustain being in the situation we're at without major renovations that are impossible here in this home. Well, we're making that change about 5 years ahead of when we thought we would. And I've found that the changes that have happened in our lives, when we anticipate when they're going to happen, we've found that we need to jump on it earlier. And the earlier we've jumped on it and made the change, then we don't have to go down so far. Like, she doesn't have to wait till she falls before she gets help. We need to make those decisions ahead of time. And that's what I like about your book, Lorrie. Sorry, I'm not trying to
that's okay.
Promote books here, but
okay.
But I'm just saying that making decisions ahead keeps you on top of the game, helps you with your resiliency and the heritage of our ancestors of living in the blazing the trail in the in their homesteading years. I knew my grandpa quite well, and he was one of the homesteaders back here. And the major changes that happened with his life and our ancestors have been not too many generations ago will help us understand. Boy, don't get too involved in all the little minor quibbles. There's bigger fish to fry, and get used to those changes. So I don't know. I rambled on there, T, but that's my heart.
It's a lot of, thank you so much, Norm. A lot of food for thought right there, like a lot of wisdom that I'll certainly be thinking through. So I'm going to go on to Judy now. I'm just wondering, you finally obtained your PhD. I'm wondering what lessons or where you got the strength to deal with your current situation. Where did that strength come from? Did it come from your education? Did it come from faith? Did it come from your parents? How are you able to deal with your daughter's sickness?
Thank you. I think it's come from a lot of different places. As a youngster growing up, there was always pretty big illness in our family. So from a very young age, I understood what being really sick meant. And I watched my mom and dad, my grandparents, I watched them through those difficult times and learned from them how to manage, some of those really trying times. The schooling part for me was just a bonus. I guess for years and years, as a mom or a woman or whatever, you know, you kind of give and give. And I was a teacher for many years, and then just decided when I was close to 50 that I needed to do something for myself. So I took the long to Edmonton and bus every Sunday, and went to school there on a Monday, came back to High River and for 4 days, and it was a repeat after, you know, that every week for one whole year. But I that was purely both for me in terms of finding out who I am and what, as a person, what kind of student I was, that I didn't know. I didn't have a clue who I really was, but that put me to big tests, and I was working with wonderful people, was able to kind of manage it, and my family was really supportive, so I was really, really lucky that way. And in terms of, you know, what's going on in my life right now, my daughter who's sick is a very, very strong person, and so I'm still learning from her. Like, other people have really helped me to understand, you know, the journey and what it takes. But yeah, no, I feel really lucky that, you know, through some pretty adverse times, that things are coming along, and I'm able to learn along the way, and I'm not done.
We never
Not
are.
done.
Nope.
Right. Judy, what I find fascinating about you is you love reading, you're an educator, you went back to the university in your 50s. Wow.
Yeah, it was a journey.
How long did it take you to get from to complete your PhD?
So what happened, I had a bachelor's in education at a pretty young age. And then I was sort of taught for a while in different places. And then I think it was, you know, and it said to me, you were getting ready to move out. They were in university, they were moving along. And he said, you need to be doing something for yourself instead of this give all the time. So I thought, okay, so a friend of mine actually had heard about a master's program that was being offered out of the University of Portland, and there was a cohort that was meeting on a weekly basis for some time in Calgary. So I went to hear the promo on it to see what it was about, and got a little too excited about it and really scared, because I've been a student for, like, I don't know, 30 years or something. And so I went to that master's program pretty quickly. And then, just as really amazing luck would have it, I was a few credits short on my master's program. And I saw on a board at the school where I was teaching that there was a course being offered at the U of A. And I phoned up, and they just made life happen for me. And so I was able to go there, get those extra credits, and they just said, why aren't you doing more? Why don't you come along with us on this ride? Why don't you do a PhD? Well, I nearly fell apart, because I didn't think that was never in my head to do that. But anyway, it was the most amazing time ever for me to be part of those. It was the Center for Research on Teacher Education. So I was able to, when I did my dissertation or did my thesis, I was able to pick something in my life that really held a lot of meaning for me. And that was centered around, who are you when you're no longer a teacher? Who are you when you're no longer a doctor? Like, what happens to your identity when your life profession is finished? Who are you? It was amazing. It was very interesting. Yeah.
Oh, wow, Judy. I should say Dr. Judy, actually. So what books changed your life?
What books changed my life? A really amazing book called Women's Ways of Knowing. It capitalizes on kind of the history of women and where women have come from. It's not a women's lib kind of idea or anything, but it comes from a position of where women have in the past been somewhat like children, when they say children are to be seen and not heard. And women have kind of moved from that spot in life to become heard and listened to. And yeah, that's just an amazing book, that one. It was a narrative that I took, so it was all about making sure that I told my own story of my life and where I was at, if I was going to involve in asking other people to tell me. So yeah, that's it. It just, the whole thing just really, really intrigued me. So, I mean, I read many, many books in terms of, because it centered around retirement. So that was kind of, as you made that step away from your profession to being retired from it, that kind of was the focus point. But, you know, it was an identity study really about who are you now? And so, yeah, there were other really amazing books. I lost all of them in the flood. It was just horrible. But anyway, I just, that one comes to my mind really well, really good, really fast. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Judy. Lorrie, we come to you.
Oh, okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
What question are you going to ask me? All right, I need to get prepared.
All right, my first question, once you've done your introduction, is how important is your faith to your work?
Very important, I guess. Like I say, I mean, I truly believe everyone has a story, and I guess mine goes back to a story. You know, Judy might remember actually, because I was skiing with her husband, and I hit a tree and I busted my spleen, and I was bleeding to death on the side of a mountain. And anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up in the hospital, and it was quite a while. And just while I was lying on the hill, I was praying, and just, you know, I didn't want to leave Earth. I knew something was broken. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. And I ended up in, well, I kept calling help, help, help for, I don't even know how long it was, but there were a number of factors in that. What happened was I hadn't eaten that day. Well, I think I'd eaten a little bit or something about 6 a.m, and that's a factor. And the second thing was that there was a young guy apparently who heard me, and I can't remember his name because it's like almost 30 years now. And he called the ski patrol, and they came and got me. And I got to the hospital, and they said, oh, well, we've done x-rays and everything. We don't know what's wrong. And then they did a probe, and they said, oh, you're bleeding to death. We need you on the operating table like now. And hopefully you haven't eaten anything or whatever. So basically they cut me open, stitched me up, fixed me up, and all that stuff. And the doctor that did the surgery said, oh, you have this this cyst on your kidney that Dr. Singer, our doctor here in town, had watched for years. He said, I'm watching, you know, it might be cancerous. And he said, by the way, when we were in there, we took that out. And the surgeon that did mine was trained by Dr. Brown, who was a very renowned surgeon here in High River. He'd worked like on, you know, in war zones. And the guy he trained had just finished the week before in High River and was in Fernie to do my surgery. Wow. Like all these things, it was just like, you know, God. So later I go back, I get a hold of the ski hill, and I say, I need to talk to this. And I named the guy. It's terrible. I can't even remember him. It's written down somewhere. I just said, you know, I need to talk to him and thank him for, you know, basically saving my life, finding me. And they said, we have no one here by that name. No one works here by that name. So I truly believe there was an angel that was sent to find me. I was on a double black diamond ice run. Yeah. I mean, nobody I mean, I probably would have spent overnight there and bled to death, because a week before that, a doctor had actually hit a tree, gone home with a stomach ache, didn't do anything, and ended up dying. So those are just little things in my life that have caused me to have a faith. I can't say, oh, it was just coincidence. No, I don't believe that. So there's just lots of things that, you know, I know the good Lord is looking out for me. So there's my answer. Is that a long answer to a short question?
No, it's a very beautiful answer, because many times we attribute these things to coincidences. And I guess over a lifetime, when you amass several of those, you think, yes, it's God watching out for me. And it takes me to my next questions. For those who still struggle with this notion of faith, whether or not there is God, what is your best argument for faith as a senior? Is it that God is love, or is it that there is a year and after? And Ray is on this call, but I'm not seeing
he came.
Yes. Hi,
That's
Ray.
so cool.
Welcome. Could you turn your video on so we can see you, Ray?
Ray is an amazing man. Can he hear us yet?
We just saw Tyler.
He might find the button that says unmute. But yeah, just to answer your question while we're waiting for Ray, and then get ready to answer a question there, is, you know, if you have a faith, you know that you're going, I used to, okay, so I guess I referred to I accept that I'm not perfect. And none of us are, we're all human. And that everybody has garbage in their life, I guess. And my second thing is ABC, that I believe, you know, that Jesus died for me, that he took the brunt of all of our sins, and Easter is my favorite season. And lastly, oh, there's Sylvia, hi. And C is just confessing, knowing that I don't have control over things, but I do know that a God does. And that's why I believe that, you know, like I say, I ask people, if you are going to die tonight, do you know where you're going to be? And I do. I know where I will be, and I'll be united with the ones that I love. And a lot of people are afraid of death. And it's a very difficult subject. Some people don't want to talk about it. Some people have other beliefs and so on. But my belief, and my firm belief, is that at the end of my life, and I have been with my mother when she died, and I saw the peace, and I know she was a very strong, devout Christian, and that makes a whole world of difference. So anyway, that's me. And yeah, Sylvia, yeah, we're excited to see you. And Ray, we need to see your face off the video too.
Well, welcome, Sylvia. Lorrie, I've got one more. What message would you want to pass on to your grandchildren? What is that one thing you want generations to know about you?
Love. We're taught to love one another. If the whole world behaved like that to everybody, we wouldn't have any wars. We wouldn't have any hurt. If everybody loved each other, and that's truly it, right? Yeah. So that's my message. Just love, cuddles, snuggles, kisses, encouragement. Love comes in many, many forms, you know, so just keep giving it out. We need more of it.
So for people who are listening, who don't know this faith, could you maybe in 2 minutes, what is this faith? What is this love? What is this year and after that you're talking about?
Well, it's if you read the book called the Bible, it's in there. It's everything is there. It's the history pretty much from the beginning of the world to the end of the world, literally. And there's a lot of wisdom there. I just finished a Bible study on Ecclesiastes. If you remember, a lot of people would know there is a time to live, there is a time to die, there is a time. And that is exactly it. There is a time for everything in this world, and we can make time for the things that are important. And we know from, I believe, from COVID especially, when we're separated from our families, when we're separated and isolated, we've seen death. We've seen death of relationships. We've seen death of people physically. We've seen the death of a society. And that's not where we're to be here to live and to live our lives. So that's my take.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know why second, but Sylvia's just joined us. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
That's
Oh,
okay.
you're welcome. That's fine. Could you introduce yourself, and then I've got one or two questions for you. It's already 7:35, and then we'll take one more questions, and I did promise to not go on too long. So over to you, Sylvia. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Sylvia Moore. I'm a retired teacher from Spitzy School in High River, and I taught at the end. I was having problems with my niece, so I ended up just teaching part-time, and I was teaching music, which was my love.
Mhm.
And I've been retired now for, believe it or not, 20 years.
Wow.
And I'm right now in California. I just came back from going to a private party where they were introducing the Pink Martini band from Portland, Oregon, that were coming to play, and they were all it was diverse, diverse people. It was great to meet with them all, and it was so nice to be back into the McCallum Theater that I haven't been at for so long.
Yeah.
And hearing some music and actually seeing people, which was kind of what I really needed to. We had masks on. We all had to be had our vaccinations. They checked us at the door. They do all that kind of stuff. We go in, and it was wonderful to just kind of be around musical people again.
Mm.
So
Thank you, Sylvia. What would you say was the most important lesson you taught the children you taught over the span of your career?
a lesson. Yeah, right.
There's so many.
I just tried to let them use music. At the end, it was to use music to break down barriers, break down their problems at school or problems at home, to just kind of let that happen. And I tried my best to get them interested in music and feel that would be a way that they could continue their life type thing.
Mhm.
If you had a favorite song to share with us right now, what would that song be?
It's a Wonderful World.
Why?
We love
Why
that
did
one.
you choose that song? It is a nice song, but why did you choose that song?
Because it has all the good things about everything. I mean, it is a wonderful world if you stop and take a look and listen.
Yeah.
And don't go rushing into things. Don't go with your iPhone or the phones and stuff like this. Stop and really look around and enjoy what you have.
When you look around at the end of the day, what things are you grateful for, Sylvia?
Very first thing is family. I couldn't have gone this way after Wayne died without family behind me and friends. And it's been a difficult road. I will admit it. But if I didn't have family, I don't know, it would have been hard. So I just think that family is all important, like my brothers and sisters and everybody. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. So we're going to take one final question, and I'm going to start with Judy. I find your story so inspiring, I'm 43 this year. And like you go back to school and get a PhD tells me there's nothing I cannot learn, no matter how long it takes me to start. So I want you to hold me accountable. I gotta get myself back to school and get me one or two or somebody. Judy, so who are you now? And what lessons, actually, what would you want people to remember you for? What nuggets do you want to leave in the sense of time?
I guess what I really will strive for is to be a really good listener. And probably stay away from judging. Judging, I mean, there's a really interesting saying that I just recently heard about those who judge never really understand, and those who understand never judge. So that's a stepping stone for me to keep that judgment away from clouding my understanding of what people are going through. I just want to say too about the magazine and the work that Lorrie's done. Lorrie has allowed everybody that I've read there to have their authentic voice, to have their lived experience portrayed. And so even though pandemic has kept us apart, the stories in that magazine connect all of us, because it's all about the lived experience that each one of us has. She had an amazing way of capturing those stories. I never felt like I was being interviewed or part of a research project, and she pulled all of that out. And I just felt like I'd had this wonderful talk about somebody who was listening to me. So I think as I go forward, I just have to be a really good listener. I will continue to try to be a good listener.
You are, Judy.
I think you are, actually. I think you are. Well, thank you, Lorrie. You did phenomenal.
Well, thank you. I had fun.
You.
Good. Really good.
All right, Norm, I want you to, when you think right now and you reflect back on your life, what do you hear your father tell you, or your ancestors? What are they telling you about the future, about now, about the past?
Well, good question, T. What's your second question? No.
Got him on a spot.
Well, just one comment concerning what Judy said first, just a side issue. My mom started new music lessons at 72 years old.
Good for her.
So the resiliency that mom has, and her passion for life and love, and her care for others, to the detriment of her care for herself much of the time. But she had 5 boys and a girl to raise, and she did a good job on one of them, I know. So, but
yeah, I'm sure she did.
In terms of what my ancestors have passed on to me, and that is that to be true to yourself, to be true to life, to tell the truth, to live well and live whole, and to make sure that you saw the importance of relationships was very important. Because when you're finished your life, you've done what you've done for your career, whatever, it's still relationships that you are left with. And so I would say the importance of relationship was very, very key message. And one of the things I want to leave for my generations is the importance of understanding your power, understanding power dynamics are in the relationships, because I believe we're hardwired for relationships. And so, and you have many different types of relationships, you know, and so that would be, that's a synopsis.
We're together with
it. Actually, yeah, sorry, Nom. I'm just picturing you've left a message in a bottle, and another generation finds that message. What would they be reading?
Well, enjoy the seashore while you find the bottle, first of all. But the message in the bottle would be know what love's actions look like. In other words, live love out. You can have a pie in the sky and talk about lovey-dovey stuff, but love is action, and your actions count. And there's so many people, including guys, and I just like to say this, guys don't realize how powerful their presence is. And it's like a little kid driving a railroad, driving a train. So much power, but they think that they don't have to have the responsibility of that power. And I believe that they need to recognize, everybody needs to recognize the power you have. And so many gals, for example, I don't believe understand the amount of power that you actually have. And so know your power, and take control of your life and make the decisions that are good for you and for the rest of the world. So.
Oh, no, thank you so much. Lorrie, I got one for you. You are inspiring, always accommodating, most importantly, always smiling.
Oh boy.
And I want you to speak.
Not always. I cry in the bathroom too.
Oh, the Lorrie we know. Oh, don't we all? The Lorrie we know is full of light, and you bring the sun everywhere you go. How do we push back the dark monsters?
Thinking positively. Your mind is very, like Norm said with the locomotive, I was thinking about your mind. You know, you can, you know, when you think negative thoughts, negative things happen. So you have to get up every day and you have to think positively, and you can change your attitude. And Sylvia, when you mentioned the music, I thought, yes, when I'm having a bad day, you listen to an uplifting song. You can't help but dance. You can't help but sing. And, you know, Norm, with all your words of wisdom, you think of words, you know, words are powerful. They can knock somebody down, or they can build someone up, you know. And Judy, your actions, I mean, you're displaying it every day, you know, with your kids. I mean, you went all through school with the kids. So, you know, I think that the power of the mind is amazing. And we just need to recognize that. It's about, yeah, our attitude and keeping those positive thoughts.
Oh, thank you, Lorrie. Sylvia, I want you to think about the kind of songs you want played
At my funeral.
I didn't want to say that.
Well, it's going to happen to all of us.
At my memorial.
That's where I'm going. But I feel so awkward asking you that right now, Sylvia, but music is your thing.
Memories.
Right.
Cats, the Cats one.
Right.
Then any uplifting ones. My favorite is one that can't even remember the name of it. Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton sang.
Islands in the Stream.
No, yeah, that one too. But there's another one that she sang that Wayne and I had at I did it at his funeral because it meant a lot to the the power of music there. But I also think, like, I go for every kind of music. So it doesn't, I have everything. I have jazz, I have different stuff. I don't go reggae. So that's okay.
Unless you're in Jamaica.
Yeah, it's good
Well, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, well, no, it's not reggae. It's the other one, the
Hip hop. You're thinking hip hop.
yeah, hip hop.
All right.
That's
So,
the beats.
I mean, yeah. I did go through, what was it? The Hamilton. He does a lot of rap type stuff, but it was quite entertaining.
Yeah.
Sylvia, just one final reflection here. Music has a way to keep our hearts young. It has a way to help us to fall in love again. It has a way to encourage us to tell beautiful stories. When you look at your life, what's one story you tell around the songs you listen to?
One story is my mother will be 101 on April the 14th.
Oh, wow.
She has played she did it all by ear. She got a guitar at 8, and she's made that guitar into her urn for the funeral. Whenever she comes, she says, "I'm ready." And she's done music to me, and she was playing music up until COVID hit. When COVID hit, they had to stop going to senior centers, so she was playing for the old folks at 98. And so that's my grandparents. Everybody was into the music, and I, did that. That's my story. Is my mother and her gift to the rest of us.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be musical. You can still enjoy music, even if you can't read a note of music or do anything. I don't know. It's just
The language of love, they say.
Yeah, it can put so many words. If you have bad times or something, you just have to turn on the music. Anyway, that's mine.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that was powerful.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, Ray is on, but we can't find Ray because I'm not quite sure without video we'll be able to see him. I want to say thank you it's a convenient place to bring this to an end. I want to say thank you to Norm, to Judy, to Lorrie, to Sylvia, to Ray, who is listening in.
That's the beginning, title of my next book. There you go. You got me.